say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nay. Motion carries 6-1. Thank you. Our next agenda item is to consider the award contract for the Atwater Stair Rehabilitation Project. Rebecca? Dan? Still waiting. Anybody?
So you'll recall that this project was included in your 2018 capital budget. A couple of reasons we didn't get that bid out prior to the season. We would like to see this work done. So we have one now for you. The anticipated construction schedule would not occur until after Labor Day, so after peak beach use, because the work on this project will close all access to the beach. But we received 4 bids. The low bidder was Blaze Landscape Contracting. If you recognize that name, that was the landscape firm that installed the riparian trail earlier this year. They did a very nice job. Very professional, very responsive, great to work with. So we were pleased to see that they submitted the low bid, and staff is recommending the award of the project to them.
Trustee Mento?
I don't understand, why do we still have the walkway, so why do we have to turn off all the access?
Because just the work area will stretch. They'll be pulling the treads off all of the stairs. They'll be reinforcing the area under the stairs. We'll be bringing some riprap in and stone that will be placed under the stairs. And it's an active construction zone. During the times that the work is being done, it wouldn't be safe to allow people to be crisscrossing that area.
Trustee Warren?
Just out of curiosity, maybe I missed this in the packet, I'm trying to see if I did, but how long does the construction take in total?
We should be wrapped up by end of November. So
mid-September.
potentially 2 to 2.5.
Okay, so it's significant time.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Or not. I mean, if weather, we try to be conservative on that. It could very well go much shorter.
Are we required to do low bid on construction? Is that just not professional services?
Correct.
Correct. So that was why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Statute requires that you award to the lowest, most responsible bidder.
I make a motion to award a contract for the 2019 Atwater Stair Rehabilitation Program to Blaze Landscape Contract in the amount of $109,750.
Second that.
Any further discussion? I just had one other question. It says the budget is coming out of capital. Is that from our is that in our budget? We have a separate area for capital in our.
I believe this particular item was funded with bond proceeds.
Bond proceeds, okay. From 2018. Okay. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 7-0. The next agenda item we have to consider results of building inspection services RFP and proposed professional service agreement. Bart. Mr. Bart.
So within your packet, there's a history of the RFP, which you're all familiar with, I'm sure. So we bid out the contracted building inspection services to cover a half-time position that was removed in the last budget cycle for my department. We received 2 responses. Only one of those offered the full scope of services that we needed, primarily commercial electrical inspection. This is the big one that's always difficult to get. So we received 1 comprehensive response from Safe Build, and then we received 1 response from our current contracted commercial electrical inspector, indicating they'd be willing to stay on in the same terms for that portion of the operations, but they didn't have the capability of doing the remainder of it. Having only 1 response was difficult, particularly at the rate that they proposed, and so I did some research with other municipalities and just some discussions within the building inspection field, and learned that perhaps the RFP process was not catching, other people that might be available to do those type of services. So I reached out to other municipalities, namely Whitefish Bays, I believe is in the packet that I mentioned, and saw how they did those services, and a lot of them, or some of them have, part-time inspectors or retired inspectors that, are available as needed on call to do so. And so with Whitefish Bay's, permission or however that worked, they put him in contact with us to see whether or not he'd be willing or he knew anyone to fulfill the remainder of that need beyond the commercial electrical inspections. And he did ultimately then provide us a proposal that we reviewed. Trustee Maher was within the review category for both the comprehensive approach and the two-part approach. And with that based primarily on cost and flexibility of what we're looking at, the staff is proposing to move forward with contracted for commercial electrical with our current KWK contractor, who's a very reasonable, very flexible rate. We've worked with them in the past, and so we have great comfort in knowing that they can do the job. And then secondarily, working with the inspector, Bob Blankenheim, with his proposal that he submitted at $75 an hour, which is still below the other proposer. The other proposer also is having minimum inspection hours, and so at minimum, we're guaranteed to spend the entire budget on that, whereas if it's possible to work within our current staff and kind of move things around as we need to, I think the option of the option I propose is what's the flexibility at the cost savings that we're looking for. So that's what I'm presenting tonight for your discussion. And Trustee Maher, like I said, was involved, so he can weigh in if he has any.
It was provided as a very flexible approach. So if we don't need them, we don't have to be paying for minimum hours. And if somebody's going on vacation, and you can say they're coming up on vacation, and they can bring people in when you need it, not all the time. So it really was a better approach to meet the budget or be close to the budget. So, yeah.
Well, I assume this was done, but I'm an insurance attorney, so I have to ask the question. I'm not seeing an insurance certificate for LCI in the packet.
He did, we would need one. He did not submit it with that proposal. It's marked as draft. That's what he, could pull together on his own for doing that. So we would definitely require that.
So before contracting, we'll make sure you that.
Correct, yes, we would confirm all that with Nathan, the village attorney, to make sure that everything's in place with either proposal.
I have to comment on the question. I think this is fabulous, the recommendation. It's our first shared service with Whitefish, not first, but it is another shared service that we would be participating in with Whitefish Bay, sharing an parking inspector, potentially giving us some real-life example of, moving forward as we investigate shared services with our neighboring municipalities. But the thing I was going to ask is I noticed that it says this part-time inspector, flexible inspector, would do building inspection. Is that correct, or can he do everything, enforcement? I just remember we were going to leave it up to staff to determine the best model, and I just wanted to know what that ended up being.
Yeah, I'm not proposing that he would do any enforcement. We would need someone of his certification level to be doing that, so the hourly rate I don't think would make sense for us. So, correct, he's just performing building, residential, and commercial inspections, except for commercial electrical, which is a separate certification, which we have.
Right. And on staff, we have half-time for enforcement, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we still have half-time enforcement, and it just gets to the survey of, do we have enough staff time to then add what residents would like to see more code enforcement? That was the case.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yes.
Just a point of clarification, so if there is indication from the board to move forward, I just request that any contracts be further reviewed by NACAN and then compliance with the insurance certificate, so that we can move forward versus bringing those documents back to the board.
Do you need that in the motion, or do you?
That's always the standard.
Yeah, I'm just
we
kind
always
of
do that.
clarifying that, because I'm presuming that also is relevant to the downer meter pit bulb rehabilitation, things like that.
So you're basically just saying, hey, look, we like this proposal, we want to enter now into a formal agreement that will be executed by the village president subsequent to this date.
Does it change? It doesn't change.
No, I mean, but it'll have all the
Just-
nuts and bolts of, you gotta have insurance up to this level. You're an independent contractor, just all of the boilerplate language that we include in the service.
And I think I'm okay with that, but in the past, just for history reasons, but didn't they come back, like marketing, when the contract was actually written? Not that we have to do it that way, I just, a clarification, if we used to see that.
I think in the past, when the board has to decide between 2 or 3 different proposals, and we don't work through contracts, finish contracts with each, because we don't know who's gonna get chosen.
Do you remember, Tristan, if they came back? I do remember contracts coming back, not that we do it that way. I just-
Yeah, but I don't know that, I think it's a different situation.
I think it depended on how interested the board was in the details of the general boilerplate contracts. We don't need to
Right.
see those.
Correct, I didn't know which ones came.
I would make a motion to direct staff to enter into a professional services agreement with Bob Blankenheim, doing businesses at Lake Country Inspections, and Steve Comet, doing businesses KWK Electrical Services under the proposed rates and general terms on file for the village to perform contracted building inspection and commercial electrical services for the planning and development department on an as-need basis.
Let's second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I have one further question, or just a note. When I was reading over the contract for statements, I really liked the section on records, ownership of records created during the contract. And so if we just keep an eye on that, it's a really great to know who owns the material once the contract is over that was created. Okay, so we have a motion second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is to consider resolution 2019-03, approval of suburban mutual assistance response team agreement. Chief Newman.
I'll take any questions if you have them. This is the housekeeping thing for the most part. We've been a member for 22 years. And the bylaws have just been updated with the current Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve resolution 2019-03 to approve the suburban mutual assistance response team agreement.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion with trustee Warren seconding. Any further discussion? If not, we'll have a roll call vote.
Trustee Menta.
Aye.
Trustee Martin.
Aye.
Trustee Buckles. Yes. Trustee Warren.
Aye.
Trustee Carpenter. Aye. Trustee Smith. Yes. President Rosen.
Yes. The motion carries 7-0. Our next agenda item is reports of village officials, and just to clarify, next time it will be listed under future agenda items, what is currently listed for consideration under reports, but we will go through it. Village president, I don't believe I have any updates at this time. Trustees, so trustee Bockhorst has asked that the future agenda item be placed on the agenda. We voted, or no, we didn't vote, there was no objections because at the time we didn't have policy. And so therefore, we are here to discuss it and then to see, to discuss, potentially vote. In your packet, there is a memo. There were additional questions that were clarified. The village manager had asked me for more clarification. Trustee Bockhorst, if you're okay, I'll co-sponsor with you on this legislation. I saw that in your email, and so I did follow up in writing as she asked with more details on the request for information, and I know, Rebecca, you mentioned Chief Nimmer would be here to answer those questions. So, Trustee Bockhorst, do you want to summarize?
Sure, sorry, I was grabbing the memo.
I can help you out whenever you need it.
So what, we'll be discussing this evening, next steps for decriminalization of marijuana. So just so everyone is aware, I'm sure you know this, decriminalization and legalization are not the same thing. What I am asking, for a variety of reasons, but also given that 79% of those that voted in the last election this fall stated that they would be in support of recreational legalization of marijuana, and that's not what we're asking for this evening. We're asking, or what I'm asking for, and President Rozak is that we, like other municipalities in the state of Wisconsin and across the nation, to remove the all but $1 of the fine for possession of marijuana. This does not include, this has nothing to do with the use of marijuana in the public place, but and other municipalities in the state have, a lot of them, for example, Eau Claire and I believe Madison, have reduced the fine to $1. And I would say that I'd like us to follow what those communities and others have done as well. So again, I'm sorry, I'm still looking for this.
Okay, and to clarify, it would be $1 and then the surcharge fees, just because we have to pay the state, so, so it would be our fee is $1, and then there's some surcharge fees. Is that correct?
Yes, I think $1 would come out to about $58.
58?
It's roughly.
Milwaukee did. Do you have anything else I can add to it?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I put on your desk, I just Googled, I'm trying to get as much information as I could before the meeting. There was on the packet, but